Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
The author of a brand new book, The Real Benghazi Story, What the White House and Hillary Don't Want You to Know. New York Times bestselling author Aaron Klein is with me. And Aaron, good morning, sir. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, sure. Thanks for having me.
You are an investigative journalist over in Israel, and you're also the Jerusalem bureau chief for WorldNet Daily, and I really appreciate that. I want to talk about your book here for a few minutes. Did the Benghazi failure bring about national security threats from Hamas and ISIS and others?
Yeah, I'll tell you, a lot of people, they look at that building, they look at that consulate, that structure, and they don't know what it is. They don't know what's going on inside. So I wrote a full book investigating Benghazi, and one of the main aspects of everything that happened there, apparently, is actually that we were running guns to jihadists, that one of the central policies going on inside that building where Ambassador Stevens was killed, and he was involved in this, was giving weapons to the rebels, first in Libya and then in Syria. So the problem is a lot of the rebels are jihadists, are extremists. And so some of the rebels that we helped to train and arm, and we gave them, by the way, chemical weapons transport, equipment, and protection gear. So they're now joining ISIS. They're spreading their weapons around the world to Gaza, and it's threatening Israel. It's also, though, a threat to the United States of America. All these extremist organizations, terrorist groups like ISIS, al-Qaeda, AQAP, and others, well, they're getting weapons and actually some fighters from some of the weapons and fighters that we aided back 2 years ago. So that's the big story here, that it's not just about Benghazi, it's not just about an attack from 2 years ago, it's a national security threat right now, and we helped to create it.
This sounds like the Fast and Furious of the Middle East, where we did the same thing in Mexico. The United States government did. They gave guns to the Mexican folks, and the drug lords end up getting them and using them against us.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pure insanity because we keep repeating the same policy over and over again. We gave guns to, indeed, you're talking about Fast and Furious in Mexico, and it just, I mean, what did the government think if they're giving guns to Mexican drug lords? Obviously, probably some of those guns will be used by Mexican drug lords in crimes. Yeah. So if we're giving guns to jihadists who hate the United States and want to destroy us and want to create an Islamic caliphate, we give them guns, and then we don't do anything to protect the man-pads, the man-shoulder-fired missiles that can take down aircraft, and then they get them, well, they're probably going to use those guns eventually against us, and they're probably going to use the missiles against us.
We saw that with border agent Brian Terry. He was killed by the guns that were given to the folks. Were any of our folks killed by our own weapons in Benghazi?
You know, it could very well be that one of the other things that was going on in Benghazi, aside from the coordination of all of these the aid shipments, arms shipments to rebels, quote-unquote rebels, in Libya and then in Syria. Separately, we were also collecting weapons from rebels that we gave originally in Libya. We wanted to ship those weapons to Syria, and then apparently there was a multi-million-dollar effort. It was headquartered in the Benghazi mission to collect the man-pads, the man-shoulder-fired missiles that got into the hands of these extremists because we failed to protect them. So if you're a terrorist and the United States is coming to collect your weapons in Libya, to collect your missiles that you really need because you're al-Qaeda and you want to bring down aircraft, And you know that in this facility, this is where some of the weapons collection is headquartered. At least that's where they were holding meetings about it. Well, you might want to attack that facility to stop the United States from coming and taking the weapons that we gave you in the first place.
Yeah.
So it could actually be that's the whole part of the reason that the facility was attacked.
What was the excuse for giving for the U.S. giving weapons to the jihadists?
You know, back then there actually was no excuse because they were denying that they were giving weapons to jihadists. The New York Times and the Washington Post, others, Associated Press, Reuters, they were all asking back then, 2012, whether we were directly giving arms to the rebels, and actually the White House denied it. But then about a year later, they admitted that they were giving the weapons. So I want to know, actually, whether any intelligence committees in Congress and the Senate approved this. Because if not, there could be some major legal problems for Obama, for Hillary Clinton, by the way, also, because she was involved with all of this. I actually find she was one of the central figures in the idea and the policy of giving arms to these rebels. And even now, by the way, Congress just this week approved billions of dollars in aid to give the Syrian rebels. Well, okay, we already gave the rebels weapons before. They already attacked us. They already joined ISIS. And now we're going to give them more weapons.
Wow.
So it looks like we're repeating the same mistake for the third time.
Aaron, we have about 3 minutes left here, and we're going to have you back. We have a little more time. I know you're extremely busy due to this new book. You also do a radio show on the weekend in Jerusalem. I hear that you're very, very popular over there with it. Tell the folks how to get the real Benghazi story.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me. You can get it at bookstores, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. Actually, there are autographed copies at WND.com, and it asks so many questions.
Yeah.
The real Benghazi story, from what was really happening in that facility to why air support was not sent the night of the attacks, to what really happened to Ambassador Chris Stevens, and beyond, to also the national security threats that we face today because of what happened in Libya. So I want to just draw attention to that. That's why I wrote this book, so that I can. The Obama administration has been lying for left and right about what really happened, so we can't trust a word they say about this.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to write the book.
I love Israel. I am one black man who loves Israel. I pray for Israel all the time, and I know God is with Israel. It's going to survive. We have 1 minute. Doing the research for this book, was there any one thing that shocked you most, you were surprised by?
You know, actually what shocked me most was that the media wasn't looking into this. I mean, the actual scandals themselves are so big that I'm not even shocked anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's just one after the other after the other. But what I'm surprised by is that, although I'm not even surprised by this ultimately, is that the media just accepts all of these lies.
Yeah.
YouTube videos that had nothing to do with anything, popular protests, there were none, on and on it goes. I don't know. I call for my fellow reporters to go out there and do the job that some others are doing. So I'm more surprised that nobody else told this story before I did.
Aaron Klein, the real Benghazi story, what the White House and Hillary don't want you to know. God bless you for this book, man, and God bless you in life. And we're going to have you back, all right? Thank you for
Absolutely.
what you're doing.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, buddy. 888-77-JESSE. Back in a moment, folks.